Good afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago. I'm Rishi Harinanan, and C News is live at noon.
And I'm Nasira Mohammed with sport.
Topping the news at this time, 6 more hours to go before polls close on election day in Tobago. Tobagonians have come out in their numbers for the 2017 Tobago House of Assembly election. Polls opened at 6 a.m. and will remain open until 6 p.m. for people to cast their vote for the 12 people they want to run their affairs for the next 4 years. Over 50,000 people are eligible to vote. There are 39 candidates from 4 political parties. The People's National Movement, headed by Kelvin Charles, the Tobago Forwards, led by Chrislyn Moore, Watson Duke, and his Progressive Democratic Patriots. Now, these 3 parties all have 12 candidates. Now, the Movement for Transformation, led by Eugene Job Davis, is the other party and has 3 candidates. This is the 10th time the THA election is taking place. The first election was held on November 24th, 1980. The People's National Movement has been running the Assembly for the past 16 years. In 2013, the PNM won the THA election 12-0. Now, political leader of the Tobago Forwards, Chrislyn Moore, is standing by one part of a statement with regards to voters coming from Trinidad to subvert the THA election process.
Any Trinidadian coming to Tobago to subvert the democratic will of Tobagonians or to go back home. We have no difficulty with any visitors to Tobago. What we have a problem with is persons who are imported into the space to try to change the outcome of the will of residents. I want to be very, very clear. We have no difficulty at all with visitors. How can we? Our entire economy runs on visitors. But nobody invites somebody into their house so that they could destroy their house.
Ms. Moore also made a statement telling hoteliers and guest houses in Tobago to put vicine in the water for Trinidadians who are coming to Tobago to vote for them to drink. Ms. Moore has since apologized for that part of her statement. She reiterated her concerns about irregularities with the voting process.
We have maintained that there has always been a plan that thwarts the will of the Tobagonians, where you have persons who are engaged in short-term contracts in Tobago and have been persuaded or induced to change their voter registration so that enables them to vote here.
She was speaking to reporters after she voted at the Lambo Anglican School this morning. Staying with politics, and the Tobago candidate for Roxborough Delaford, that should be the PNM candidate, Gary Melville, says he doesn't see anything wrong with people living in Trinidad and voting in Tobago as long as they have property on the island.
We might get as high as that. I think in 2016 people were a lot more charged up. And I think the two sides were very, very clear, and the opposition was in Tobago was more united and so on. I don't know if we might see that level of turnout this year.
Melville is up against Watson Duke, the leader of the Progressive Democratic Patriots for this electoral district. He took over from Hilton Sandy. On the topic of voter turnout, he said he doesn't expect it to be as high as previous years.
Been an issue because he does spend time on the island. I think he does have a residence on the island. So there are other persons who do that. I mean, I'm trying to be fair here. There are other persons who do that. There are other persons who work in Trinidad and keep a residence in Tobago, and they still want to be an elected part of the electorate in Tobago. So I don't see anything personally wrong with that.
Now, our reporters have been on the ground since 5:30 this morning. Liron Bromell is one of them, and he had a very busy morning. He spoke with PDP leader Watson Duke earlier, and he's joining us now to tell us what he said.
Under police escort, leader of the Progressive Democratic Patriots, Watson Duke, cast his vote at the Roxborough Anglican School. He came in just after 11, and after he cast his vote, he spoke with the media. He said there are allegations of voter padding by the People's National Movement. Of course, that was dismissed earlier in the week, but he claims if there is anything going against that, they're going to protest at 6 p.m. He also mentioned earlier in the week during special voting times that an officer at a police station in Roxborough was seen going home with polling cards from special voting. He said a report was made to the EBC, verbally as well as written, and they're awaiting the outcome of that. But he's confident of victory across Tobago in all 12 seats. He's not counting 1 or 2 seats. He's counting 12 seats going into this election. Of course, remember, polls are closing at 6 p.m. Liron Bromell, C News.
Well, you're watching the C News Live report at noon. Remember, you can keep up to date with all the latest news on our website at ctvtt.com, or you can check out our Facebook and Twitter pages at C News Live. And as you just heard our reporter Liron Brommel giving some of the statements made by Watson Duke, he alleged irregularities in the voting process.
A man on the ground. That custom walking with throngs of people. All right, but maybe it says a new protocol, maybe the handwriting is on the wall, and maybe these two officers I have for that brief moment, maybe the two officers I may ride off with at midnight tonight.
Do you feel threatened in any way that that's why the police officers are out there? Have you received any threats?
Well, there will always be threats, but I'm not a person to give myself to fear over those kind of concerns, because my life do not belong to me. It belongs to the people I serve.
Now, the Public Relations Officer for the People's National Movement, Stuart Young, says so far he has not received any reports of issues taking place during the THA elections. Speaking with the media after a workshop for customs, police and other enforcement officers in Trinidad and Tobago, Minister Young hoped today's elections would run smoothly.
So far, from what I was told before coming in here, things have been running very smoothly. I hope and expect that it will continue to run smoothly during the rest of the day. And I'd just like to say, let's wait on the official results. We're going to start to get unofficial results, I would say, from 7:30 this evening. And let's just be cautious as to the initial results that we begin to get. But I hope things will continue to go well, and I've heard no bad reports so far.
Now, we spoke with Liron a short while ago about how things are going in Tobago. We now have on the line our next reporter who is in Tobago, Patricia Nicholson. Good afternoon, Patricia.
Good afternoon, Richie, and how are you?
I'm very, very good. How are things going in Tobago? I know you were up and about very early this morning.
Yes, I was since 6 a.m., but since then till now, and I have interviewed Ms. Crippling Moore. I have also spoken to a number of other candidates, such as Shamari Hector from the PNM, a lot of different candidates. But I can tell you, a short while ago, we just left Blackrock, where political leader of the PNM Tobago Council, Kelvin Charles, voted. Both him and his wife, they voted at the Blackrock Primary School. When they were going in, the weather, it was very, very overcast. And so we waited about 10 minutes, and when they were coming out, the rain started coming, and when they were about to do the interview, it just came down heavy. But that did not stop them from answering questions from the media. We all ran for umbrellas and covered our cameras and heads and all that. And the interview went on, but if you see raindrops and so on in the footage that you get later, it was because Kelvin Charles was interviewed in heavy rain. He said the process for him, both him and his wife, went smoothly, no hiccups. He spoke about the excellent machinery on the ground that they have before, during the campaign season, and so he expects the outcome that he desires, which is victory. We also caught up with the PNM candidate for Bethel Mount Irvin, Shamari Hector. He too voted in the West. He voted in the Montgomery area. He said he had no issues. Again, very smooth process for him. A number of voters are saying the process was smooth, no major hiccups really. Some complain about the length of time, going into the polling station and coming out. But generally speaking, everything went smooth. The rain is,
Patricia,
falling here and there.
Just one quick question, because we are running out of time. You have been out this morning. What is the voter turnout looking like?
I would say it's a steady voter turnout, especially in the West, where I've been for the entire morning. Very steady. In Montgomery in particular, we saw a number of persons, long lines in Montgomery, but generally speaking, in the West, based on what I've observed, the voter turnout has been very steady.
All right. Thank you very much, Patricia. Patricia Nicholson reporting from Tobago. A lot of excitement taking place there as we come down to the Tobago House of Assembly elections. And remember, you can stay with CTV and Talk City 91.1 FM. From 7 o'clock this evening, we will also be having our live updates from Tobago, a panel discussion. Everything starts from 7 o'clock this evening, so remember to join us for that. Well, now for a look at the weather forecast. Cloudy periods at times with light to moderate showers will occur in a few areas this afternoon. Some improvement is expected tonight. Seas are normal, waves up to 1.5 meters in open water, less than 1 meter in sheltered areas. Seas can become agitated at times, mainly along the northern coast due to a long period of swells. Persons with marine interests should exercise caution. Today kicks off the beginning of the 3-day annual energy conference hosted by the Energy Chamber of Trinidad and Tobago. This year's theme is Building Competitiveness in an Evolving Energy World. Delivering the feature address at the Hyatt Regency this morning, Acting Energy Minister Colm Imbert referred to current oil prices as a seesaw, as he went on to highlight that revenue from oil prices have dropped by almost 90% in just 2 years. To put that into perspective, revenues in 2014 were approximately $19 billion, which dropped to less than $2 billion in 2016. Noting that state-owned Petrotrin is responsible for almost 50% of oil production in Trinidad and Tobago, Mr. Imbert said reviving this country's current energy decline requires a turnaround at Petrotrin. He said the year 2017 will also see government moving to fulfill its mandate to provide alternative sources of energy, of which includes waste to energy conservation.
Country has been selected for the project.
Mr. Imbert concluded by saying this government stands ready to act as needed and will not follow in a path of past leaders.
Temporary dip in our country's natural gas supply, caused by maintenance, safety and upgrade activities arising from the Macondo disaster in the USA in April 2010, has turned out instead to be a serious supply problem caused by uncertainty in the international investment community because of indecision and procrastination.
Some crime news now. 2 men were rushed to hospital this morning after they were shot. Reports say at around 4:30, officers of the Shogunas police station were alerted by loud explosions. Upon investigating, they observed a silver Mitsubishi Lancer parked along Railway Road, Shogunas, in the vicinity of the Shogunas police station, where they observed 32-year-old Devanand Deusaran bleeding from his mouth. They then saw 37-year-old Damian Augustine running towards the police station, bleeding from his left arm. Police say they found 1 air pistol in the vehicle. Now, Police Constable Mervyn Williams, who was shot in a robbery outside his home in November 2016, has died. Reports say the officer succumbed to his injuries earlier today. Williams was attached to the Interagency Task Force. He was in Edinburgh 500 Shogunas when he was allegedly accosted by 3 men who attempted to rob him. Police said Williams was involved in a scuffle with one of the men and he was shot. He was hit in the leg and scrotum. The robbers ran off in that incident. Now, former Minister of National Security Gary Griffith says this PNM government should take the positives out of crime-fighting initiatives from the last PNM government and the People's Partnership Administration if it is to curb the crime rate. He was responding to questions on Good Morning Trinidad and Tobago about the current situation where almost 40 people have been killed for the year so far.
Look at the benefits of what we've seen in the Manning administration and the Kamala Persad-Bissessa administration and build on it. We have not seen that. There have been the advantages of SORT, which I actually reignited. The K9 unit, the counter-terrorist unit, the air division. These things have now been shut down. I think that it is important to bring these things back.
He said these, as well as other measures, played a huge role in keeping the murder toll down in previous years.
Just 2 years ago, over a 45-day period in January and February, we had 18 homicides over a 45-day period. That's the first 45 days of the year, which meant that we were going at 160 homicides per annum. 2 years later, we are going at almost over 600. So from 160 odd to over 600. It shows that this can't turn around, but what we need to do is to look at the systems that worked previously.
A 16-year-old girl has gone missing. Reports say Nicole Lizama of Diamond Village, San Fernando, was last seen at 11:30 on January 21st when she left home to go to an internet cafe in the area. She has not been seen or heard from since. Anyone with information is asked to contact police. Amilcar Sanatan of the UE Socialist Movement says there are many movements which are against newly elected U.S. President Donald Trump. However, Mr. Sanatan said people are more concerned about the changes to policies that may affect them now that Trump's president of the U.S., specifically for us in the Caribbean, who were partners with the U.S. on climate change policies, which Trump isn't in favor of.
Already made a commitment to regime change in Venezuela, and that is of direct concern to us, but has also pledged support for the National Assembly, which is where the opposition dominates. He's very cautious, as is Rex Tillerson, very cautious of Cuba as well, and the Obama's policy of reducing American aggression to Cuba as a nation state. And that is something we'll have to watch more closely.
And on the topic of the Women's March in the U.S. on Sunday, Mr. Sanatan said the basis of the march was because women in the U.S. are concerned about the condition they will experience under Trump's presidency.
Women in particular are very concerned about the conditions upon which women will experience in the next 4 years. And that speaks directly to the social sector, the defunding of public schools, the deunionizing of unions, as well as the deregulation of the market, in which we have what we call open market capitalism, which attacks public services in which many women benefit from.
Well, now Nasira Mohammed is here with sport. Nasira, Leo Ben Haka is giving Dennis Lawrence the approval.
That's correct. He was his boss last time around when we qualified for the World Cup, and now he's his supporter as we try to qualify for the 2018 World Cup in Russia.
Well, that brings us to the end of the C News report at noon. I'm Rishi Harinanan.
And I'm Nasira Mohammed.
Remember, for up-to-date and breaking news throughout the day, you can visit our C News website at ctvtt.com. And remember to join us from 7 o'clock for live updates from Tobago for the Tobago House of Assembly elections. Have a good afternoon.